Welcome to the Holistic Career Change Podcast. Spoiler alert, we don't discuss conventional, linear, boring career change here. This is the place where we talk about finding an aligned career path that feels like an extension of who you are, where you get paid for being yourself. Forget personality quizzes, soul-crushing scrolling on job sites, and breaking your brain trying to find your why. Join me and many other career changers who've changed their career holistically by first defining who they are at their core and then using this blueprint to design a fulfilling career or business. We use the mind-body-soul approach, and we take into consideration the complexity and multidimensionality of all that you are and want to represent in the world. This is where purpose-led careers are born and built. I'm your host, Vilma Oseita. Let's go. Hi, friends. So good to reconnect with all of you. How have you been? I'm good. I've been enjoying the summer. I've been traveling, loving the beach. I'm trying to be present. I'm trying to create memories. I think my goal for the summer was just practicing finding joy in the tiniest of things, in the tiniest of moments. And usually I am a pretty joyful individual, but I feel like this summer I made it a point to just be present and enjoy whatever or whoever it is that I'm spending time with, versus dreaming about, the future and making plans and thinking about working, because I love what I do so much that I think I talked about it in the past in the podcast. Sometimes disconnecting is hard. So yeah, I've been having a good time, and also just life, I never stop being in awe of life and humans and this planet. I don't know. It's just fascinating journey that we're all on. So today I have a short and sweet episode for you. Hopefully it's short and sweet. You know how it goes with me. And it's about the question that I get asked quite a lot, especially from those of you who are new to this community, new to this world. I talk a lot about this in my initial consultation calls, which you can book as well if you like, where we just kind of check in. I usually, in these free consultation calls, I give some guidance, advice, feedback. I get some downloads for people's alignment. So I find that in these calls, I get asked a lot about what a light worker is. What does it feel like? What does it look like to be a light worker? And many of you in my community are light workers, whether you know it or not, whether you identify with it or not. Okay. But if you're curious enough to listen to this episode, chances are you might be meant for a healing career. Now, for some of you, what I'm going to share with you is absolutely not new. You know it. You've been there. You've done that. You've got a t-shirt. So if you feel like that, you may skip this episode. But I feel like for some of you who are very new to this idea of potentially embracing a healing career or a healing business, I really hope that this episode is going to be inspiration and is going to be that permission slip that perhaps you've consciously or unconsciously been looking for. So what I'm going to do today is share what a light worker is from my perspective, the way that I've experienced it, the way that I've seen it. I'll share some common signs showing you that you are a light worker. I will speak a little bit about the most common fears that the baby light workers have and how to overcome them. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I'm just going to do high level for you. And I will also share what would be the first simple steps to take if you're thinking of transitioning into a healing career. And then I will just, share this episode with anyone who asks me about light workers again, because you guys, I love being efficient, okay? And I don't always love repeating myself, even though I think I do it all the time. Anyway, so in my practice, like I said, I meet a lot of different kinds and different flavors of light workers. And to put it short, light workers are these beautiful souls who have this unwavering knowing that they're meant to do something specific with their lives. Like there is a mission, there is a cause. And especially at the beginning journeys, it like drives them crazy because often they have no idea what that looks like for them, or they may have not fully accepted, they may not have fully integrated the idea of service as a career. Okay, because very often it requires a 180 shift from their current circumstances. So that idea of being in a service industry, and by service I mean like healing, helping, is just such a big change for them to wrap their heads around that sometimes it's really, really hard and it takes a long time for them to get there. But essentially, a light worker is someone who feels the soul level calling to raise the frequency, to raise the vibration of the planet, and to help humanity evolve. Okay, which is fundamental now, as you all know. You all have eyes and ears, and you're noticing what's happening in the world. We live in the times of chaos and warfare. And when I say warfare, I don't just mean the actual wars that we see, like the physical, tangible countries fighting each other. There's warfare mentally, emotionally, and especially energetically. So while it is a very necessary stage of evolution, it can also feel very scary and dysregulating for many of us. But not to light workers usually. And this is your first clue. Because this is what many of them, or many of you, have been training for this time, for the time where you get to use all of the lifetimes of experiences and your intuition and the gifts that you came with. And light workers are usually the ones who, especially after they embrace the path, they're the ones who just look at the world's like pain and they say, nope, not on my watch. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to create the impact that I feel like I can create, and I'm going to support planet with this beautiful, beautiful stage of evolution, which looks very dark. But being a light worker for these people is essentially about recognizing that they have a very unique gift, healing, to share with the world. And honestly, if they refuse to embrace it, well, life, the universe, God, spirit guides, whatever it is, your belief system, they will make sure that you have no other choice but to go down the healing path. And it may often look like you getting fired, you falling ill repeatedly, or you just getting displaced from familiar environments. And to your ego, it may feel like a chain of really unfair events, but what it actually is and what it represents is redirection and helping you close the door to everything that is not authentically yours to keep, and that in particular includes not just people in your life, but your career path as well. So I'm going to share a few signs that you might be a light worker and see how many you resonate with. It's not like you do need to tick all of the boxes, but see how many you're nodding to, okay? First, you probably always felt different and like you don't quite like fit in with a normal crowd. You either feel like the observer, or you just feel different. You feel a little like misfit. You probably are very observant. You find a lot of things weird. You might be more introverted and spend more time on your own, or if you're not, if you present as extroverted like I often do, you probably also have this other side of yours, which is much, much deeper and much more quiet and needs a lot of time on your own. You might be highly sensitive to energy, to emotions, and the needs of others. Like you can read the room really, really well. You might have a strong desire to help, to heal, or just make positive impact in the world. And that's something that kind of has been following you throughout your life. You might be drawn to spiritual, metaphysical topics, psychology, holistic health, like everything to do with health and healing. You might often feel affected by the world's problems, like I said, and you kind of wish you could fix them all or have strong opinions about it. And you might have a bit of a savior complex. That is the shadow side of many of the healers, where like, no, but I feel like I could do it. I feel like I could do it better, or I feel like I need to do something about it. You may also find that people come to you for advice, or they just come to you to talk and vent and share because they perceive you just intuitively as a safe space, even if they don't know you, especially if they don't know you. You may also feel a deep connection to nature and just all the living beings, but especially nature and animals. And perhaps you've experienced a spiritual awakening of sorts, or you've been going through just some significant life transformations recently, which is usually the preparation stage before you become a full-flown healer. So if you're nodding along to these, you might want to seriously consider a healing career, because chances are that this deep knowing that you're meant to serve, it won't go away. It will just get stronger and stronger and stronger and more overwhelming. So now what? Right? You're like, okay, I resonate with this. So now what? So I feel like the biggest lightworkers dilemma in this day and age is I see that they can't quite compute how to turn their gifts into this viable, financially successful business or career. And many of them have not owned practices before. So this whole concept of perhaps having a practice, owning a business feels very elusive for them and very confusing. And it's almost like they freeze when they think about it. And to top that, if they're still at their day jobs, that day job does feel like a dark cave of misery. Like a labyrinth of misery. But here's where things really get real, because many of these light workers find themselves stuck in careers that feel completely misaligned with their true purpose. And if you're listening to this and thinking that's so me, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are many, many, many of you out there who are now in the middle of that transition or about to make that transition. Maybe you're crunching numbers in a corporate job when all you really want to do is help people heal, or perhaps you're, managing a team, but you'd rather be leading meditation circles, like you're noticing these things. And whatever your situation is, that nagging feeling of misalignment is your soul trying to get your attention. You're not being punished, you're being guided, you're being redirected. But there's a plot twist. That misaligned job that you have right now, I don't want you to resist it. I don't want you to hate it, okay? Because it's actually your spiritual teacher. And I'll talk a little more about that. It's kind of like a guru in disguise, because it's showing you what you don't want, is helping you clarify what you do want, and is building the resilience that you'll need for your lightworker journey. Trust me, you'll need a lot of perseverance and resilience once you enter this path. So if you're feeling stuck, please remember this. This current job, if you're in misaligned career, is just a chapter. It's not your whole book. It's not your whole story. And I want you to embrace and start to get really serious and start taking the small steps towards a more aligned healing career, okay, while staying at your current job if you need to, because healing careers is where many light workers will shine, is where they will finally get to feel that deep sense of purpose and excitement and fulfillment and abundance. And this is where they get to make the real impact that they've been craving to make, okay? So yes, you're misaligned. Yes, it's really hard for some of you to believe that there are careers where you would be excited to wake up to, that there will be careers where you get energy from while doing it, versus just feeling the complete drain of energy that many of you feel when you are in the wrong jobs, in the wrong offices, surrounded by quote unquote wrong people. So another question that I get asked a lot is like, okay, so light working career or like a healing career, like what is that about? Like what does that look like practically? So I often tend to divide the healing careers into 4 big broad categories. So there is the physical, mental, emotional, and energetic or ethereal or auric. People use that interchangeably. So in other words, us as humans have 4 bodies. We have a physical body that we talked about and we see the most, right? Is the most tangible. We have the mental body, we have the emotional body, and we have the energetic body. So light workers will basically divide and choose different modalities, approaches, and gifts somewhere between the 4 categories, okay? Some light workers are trained to work with just one of these bodies, for instance, just physical, say a masseuse. Yes, and a masseuse is a light worker, by the way. So through the physical body, they can often access the emotional body because that's where a lot of trauma and stress is stored, right? So through the physical body, they can offer someone a release. So that means that they're navigating between the emotional and physical body, but they access the healing through the physical body. Many light workers even operate between all 4 of these bodies. Okay, so, and especially now as you see everyone moving into the holistic field, right? And I'll talk a little bit about that too. But let me give you other examples so you could feel it out a little better. So, say for instance, a therapist, and I'm talking like conventional talk therapy, they will mostly deal with mental and emotional bodies. But a hypnotherapist will actually access emotional and energetic bodies through the mental body. So they will help heal all three of them, right? So through my conscious brain, I'm putting you under hypnosis where I'm accessing your emotional body and the trauma and experiences that perhaps your conscious mind have suppressed, but we can also go deeper and we can go past lives and we can regress, right? So like I'm working with three bodies. A shaman, for instance, a typical shaman can navigate usually all four, but the work that she or he does is mostly in the energetic or ethereal realms, which then descends down and heals the rest of the bodies, right? So the change that and the healing and the clearing that they can make in the energetic realm will affect our emotional, mental, and then physical bodies. Okay. And like I said, you've seen probably many of you like a huge rise in holistic approaches, holistic practitioners, me being one of them, right? Because we're finally seeing how it's all connected and we're acknowledging it. It's not a secret anymore. And you can't heal just one aspect within you without realizing that the root cause of whatever it is that you want to heal is often within another body. Okay. And when I say body, I'm still referring to the four bodies each of us have, not another person. So, and like I said, myself included, because you'd think career change is mostly mental and physical, right? So like I have an idea, it's mental, and then I implement it in the physical realm. But the way that I see it, or my holistic approach, is really working with all four bodies and understanding how they interact and how they are affected by such a big pivotal decision as career change, especially when we're talking about aligned career changes, aligned career transitions, because they are an extension of who you are. So they're very much an extension of all four of your bodies. So hopefully this is expanding your unit, expanding your horizons, and helping you see that healing careers can come in all shapes and sizes. It's your life coach or spiritual life coach, is your therapist, is your energy healer, Reiki practitioner. It can be a holistic nutritionist, a counselor. It could be yoga meditation teacher. It could be a sound healer. It could be herbalist. It could be acupuncturist. It could be art therapist, like, and so on and so forth. Right. And many of these modalities, like I said, they cover several bodies. That's why so think of it this way: the more bodies you cover, physical, mental, emotional, energetic, the more impactful your work is. However, that doesn't mean that you need to necessarily aim and strive and force yourself to cover all four bodies. And I'll talk about it in a moment, because many of us usually have a predisposition or gifts that we bring from past lives, if you believe in past lives, and we tend to focus on one or two. And then often we'll expand and kind of play with other bodies, right? But we usually have the home base of a couple of bodies or one body where we feel most gifted at and comfortable at. You get the drill, hopefully. Now, I often get asked, how do you know if you're meant to embrace a healing career? Because a lot of the times people think, well, I have interest in these fields and people do come in and talk to me, but how do I know that I should embrace it? How do I know it's the real deal? And my answer is so simple, you guys. If you feel continuously drawn to it, it's your path and you need to take it. That's it. Done. Because that's the law of the universe. If you didn't feel the pull, it simply was not an aligned career for you. Look at how many things you're interested in, but you don't feel the pull to actually do it. I always give the example with myself. I'm obsessed with crystals. Crystals are my favorite elementals. I think they're just the coolest bunch. If crystals could talk, they could tell amazing stories. And each crystal is so different and they have such a different character. It's fascinating. Do you want to become a crystal therapist? Do you want to become a crystal healer? No, I don't. But I'm endlessly fascinated by it. But there is that shift. There is that tiny, subtle difference within when there is a career path that you're like being pulled in and you almost want to play in that field. And there are areas that you're just simply interested in, but they don't necessarily have to become your career. Okay. But I will also give you a few more signs how to discern, because I know some of your conscious brains, they need that tangible data and you want to check things off. So I'm gonna play with you with that one. So how do you know? Okay, first of all, you may be feeling a pull towards healing professions, even if it does not make logical sense for you. Maybe you're like a consultant in Big Four, like I used to do. Maybe you're working bank. Maybe you're also sometimes, by the way, a good shift is like maybe you're actually a medical profession, and I'm talking like Western medicine, and you're getting so discouraged and burnt out, seeing how we're not finding and treating the root cause in Western medicine, and you're keep on being pulled by alternative healing methods, and maybe even illegally or like unofficially actually applying them to your patients. Right? That's an invitation. That's an invitation. You're close to your path, but you're not right there yet. Okay. You find yourself also maybe naturally offering advice and support to your friends and strangers, like I said. You feel like you're always seeking to learn more about health, wellness, and spiritual topics. Like you're forever learning and finding and trying to apply it. And then you're just like thirsty. You're like a sponge. Also, when you look back at whatever career that you've had or you still have, you realize that you feel the most alive when you're helping others to grow and overcome challenges. So in spite of what your actual job description says, where you find the most excitement, where you find the most impact and fulfillment is when you're supporting others. That's a big sign, you guys. Also, maybe you have a gift for holding space for others' emotions and you don't get overwhelmed, or if maybe even get energy from that. That's a big sign. You also are someone perhaps who believe in body's natural ability to heal, and you really believe in the power of holistic approaches, and maybe you've healed using holistic approaches. Also, another sign is you're experienced your own healing journey and you want to share what you've learned. A lot of the times, you guys, with healers and light workers is like we experience something, and the first idea, the first thought that we have is, oh my goodness, I wish I could share about that. I wish I could tell to my friend about it. If only my story could help save someone. If only my story could help someone save time or save them from suffering, right? And that's true for me. That's one of my biggest whys is I don't want you to experience a really painful career change journey in the way, say, I did. And because I cracked the code, I want to share that with you now. Okay. Another sign is like you might be feeling a sense of excitement, but also maybe a little bit of fear, but like excitement too when you think about starting a healing career. So there's what you're looking for is energy behind that path and energy behind that modality. Okay. And you're willing and perhaps you want a career that would give you a chance to do your own inner work and continue growing personally and spiritually. That's also a very, very big sign. I hear that so much from light workers where they say, you know what, I want a career that would almost give me an opportunity, a chance, and even force me to continue healing myself, to continue learning about myself and then sharing that with other people. And you may think, listening to this podcast, if you're resonating with these, you may think that, well, that's normal. Isn't that something that everyone wants? Hell no. Hell no. You tell, say, like a conventional, typical, politician, for instance, and you're like, no, you need to continuously be working on yourself because what you're doing is projecting your childhood trauma on your, on the people that you're serving. And they'll be like, what? No, I don't want to work on myself. I want to like go out there and create law, whatever politicians do. I'm not into politics, but do you know what I mean? So many of you think that what I'm sharing in this episode is very common. It's not. Newsflash, it's not. It's you. So if you're resonating with all of these examples and signs, I really think it might be time for you to seriously consider embracing a healing career. And how do you choose the type of career you want? Simple. Again, so simple, you guys. Don't try to create elaborate strategies for this. This is so simple. It's meant to be simple. You choose the modality or the type of healing career that you're most drawn to today, that makes the most sense for you today, that helped you the most up until now. Don't overthink it. Don't try to get all heady and all analytical about choosing it. you need to follow your energy and your expansion. Okay. The most aligned career, healing career, or the first modality you want to study is something that feels like a non-brainer, something that almost like too close to you, that's something that feels like duh. Okay. And I know this is like the most unprofessional way to actually advise you, but that's what it is, right? Because I know, and you will learn very soon, that no matter what you choose, whatever it is, it will evolve and it will grow and it will change together with you. And you'll probably continue learning and adding different modalities and aspects for the rest of your life. So don't worry about the first one. Just choose one. If there's one thing you take away from this episode, choose it and try it. And if you need to, you'll pivot. Just do it. Okay. Now, also what I want to share with you is a few very, 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 very common fears that I've heard, especially if you're, again, coming from more practical, conventional career paths. These fears might be holding you back from embracing your calling as a healer. Okay. And these fears are normal, but they're also very often based in limiting beliefs or lack of understanding and information about that healing path. A lot of you are operating on assumptions. So again, my invitation is don't assume each healer is broke. Don't assume that if you want to become a healer, you need to move to the desert and meditate for 23 hours a day. I'm talking in extremes, but some of you have that. I've talked to you guys. No, you can live a really normal, beautiful, aligned, abundant life, financially and energetically abundant as a healer, especially nowadays. Okay, so don't try to make decisions based off of assumptions. If you make a decision or you're about to make a decision, go out there and collect your data. That's something that you hear me talk about in almost every episode. Collect the data, decide. Do it, collect the data, decide. Okay? Research, decide. Talk to people who are doing this, and then make a decision. Don't assume. Okay? So, let me talk about some of these fears. Fear number one, I'm not qualified enough. I've been X my whole life. I've been an accountant my whole life. How am I just going to change like that? Right? Here's what you need to know. Your life experiences, combined with your natural gifts, and then whatever training or modality you choose to pursue, already makes you so uniquely qualified to help others. All you need to do is be one step ahead of the person that you help. And remember, even the most experienced healers started somewhere. Don't be afraid to be that beginner and have the beginner's mindset and be open and curious. You need to take the first step, and remember, you've been also unofficially doing this work anyway. So you might as well make it official and charge people for that. Might as well start charging and actually going into healthy contracts. Because listen, those of you who are healers, but you are not officially calling yourself a healer, a coach, energy practitioner, energy worker, what you're doing is you're giving your gifts away for free to people who are usually not equipped to implement what you're giving them or to process what you're giving them. So you are entering, energetically speaking, from energetic perspective, unhealthy contracts with people. And that's another thing that I've noticed. Many of you will say, well, Vilma, but like, am I really equipped to do this? Because I've been trying to help my mom for like 20 years and she doesn't listen. Or, you know, I always am like the healing safe space for my friends who come and vent in me, and then I give them coaching or offer them advice, and they never actually do it. And I'm feeling so demotivated and deflated. I'm like, wrong audience. Preaching, it's you can't. I don't know if I told you, like in Lithuanian we have this expression that you can't be a prophet in your own village. I think there's something similar in English. You won't be a prophet for your own people because they see you, they project so many things. They see a version of you that they grew up with. They see a version of you that perhaps they gave birth to, right? And it's all smoke and mirrors. They don't see you in your power, and therefore they will not appreciate your gift. So what you need to do is start entering healthy energetic exchanges with people who don't project anything on you, who are open, and where you can actually create change and make an impact and help someone, because they'll be open and receptive to what you have to offer. Okay. And the reason many of you are so fearful is because, again, you haven't properly tried with the right type of clients, with the right type of people who are willing to accept your gift, and not only accept, but be very grateful for what you offer. That's a big one. Okay. Another fear I hear all the time, kind of touched upon that. I can't make a living as a healer. Okay. Oh my goodness. Have you been on the internet? Have you seen that there are countless successful, authentic, I'm not talking about like inauthentic people who are just trying to sell you something at like literally every minute of every day. I'm not talking about those quote unquote healers. I'm talking about like real deal purpose-led healers. And there are many of them making a great living doing what they love. Okay. And also, it's not about the money, but yes, you can absolutely create financial abundance through healing work. And actually, now is the time, for the first time in at least the known and recorded history. I don't know what it was like in Atlantis, for instance. Like, I don't know, okay? But for the first time in recorded history, you can make a beautiful, beautiful, abundant living out of helping people, and as a woman, if you are a female. Okay, because that's also a big healing point for many of us female healers. Okay, not only were we not allowed to heal, we're not allowed to actually pursue our interests and passions and purpose as someone in the female body. Okay, now is the first time where you can actually create a lot of money, and I will challenge you and even say much more money than you make in any other conventional career. Because when you're misaligned, okay, thank you. Yeah, I get a download about this. Once we're misaligned, no matter how profitable career you'll choose, for instance, you go into law or you go into banking, there's always going to be like almost like an invisible cap on how much you can earn. Even though like the standards and the average wage is pretty high, you'll find yourself where you're like either not getting the promotion or you're not getting the bonus, or I don't know, you just feel like when you talk to other people, you find out that other people in the same position are getting much more than you are. Right? So it's almost like that there's like invisible glass ceiling energetically, not just because you're a woman, but also because the universe is trying to show you this is not where abundance will flow. Yes, you will get what you're promised, but it's not going to be so easy for you to go up the corporate ladder if it's not for you. Okay. Another fear, what if I'm not good enough? And you know what? Actually, this is an interesting one, because let me go off tangent, because I kind of like when I hear lightworkers say, what if I won't be able to help people? Because that shows me that you are realistic, that you're humble, and that you have the right intention. Okay. Because again, in this day and age, you've seen it yourself, you experienced yourself. There are people who will use other people who are in vulnerable states to benefit themselves. Okay. And when I hear you say, what if I'm not good enough? What if I make a mistake? What if I can't help someone? That to me shows that you are the real deal, that you are a light worker and you are taking this really, really seriously. And I'll actually like hearing that. However, I don't want this fear to paralyze you from embracing your purpose and sharing your healing gifts. Okay. Because at the end of the day, even just your willingness to show up and help others is enough. Even if you are, I give that example to many of the people who are moving into coaching. I was like, even if you go into a coaching session and you won't say one word, or you just say hello and goodbye, your energy, your grounded energy, your healing energy, your embracing energy, your neutral energy is already helping someone. Even if you don't say, even if you say hello and goodbye and nothing else in between, that has already helped them. See how powerful you are? And yes, and that is your starting point, but you will grow and you will improve with each person that you work with each experience. But honestly, what's the most important, like I said, is your intention. Your heart-centered intention is the most important qualification that you'll ever need, because that's more than enough. And I'm not advocating for being unprofessional or not getting the right qualifications. Okay, I'm not saying that either. I'm talking to that like scaredy kitty within you, like the little you who's like so terrified of actually touching other people. I want you to show that you already are touching them. You're already helping them. What you haven't done yet is made it official. That's all. You haven't entered healthy contracts from spiritual perspective. Okay. Another one I hear also is like, what if I'm too old to start a new career? Sometimes I hear too young. I don't get those too much because I feel like we only really want to start talking about aligned career. Honestly, if I'm completely honest, from your late 20s, ideally 30s, because I feel like the 20s are meant to be wild and crazy, and we're meant to make mistakes and explore our limits and the edges, and just not always think about the consequences. This is when we are getting to know ourselves through relationships, through experience, through traveling, through whatever it is that you do. So I would say 30s is when we really start thinking about it. And honestly, a lot of people in the 30s, mid 30s, early 30s, whatever, a lot of people in the 40s, I work with people in 50s and 60s, they say like, what if I'm too old? And here's the thing. It's never too late or never too early to follow your calling. It's just not. It's just not. It's not. It doesn't exist. It's never too late to follow your calling. You can never be late on that. And the world really needs healers of all ages and all experiences. Because I'm in my mid-30s, right? So sometimes people who are, maybe boomers or maybe from just a different generation, they will not always resonate with my energy because I'm a millennial. I'm like one of those annoying millennials. But I love that Gen Z is taking the heat off of millennials a little bit, right? Or vice versa, right? Maybe Gen Z will not resonate with me as a millennial. So we need actually Gen Zs also entering healing field too, to be able to, for the other Gen Zs to resonate with them, right? So whatever age you are at is perfect. And if anything, okay, especially for those of you who think you're too old, the more experienced you are, that means the more wise you are, and the more space you can offer, the more you can understand, the more you can embrace others and yourself, okay? And entering a healing career, if you are a little bit more experienced, so to say, because I don't like the word old. What is old? Jesus Christ, right? But like if you are a little more experienced, this is like a healing career is actually where age is a big, big plus. It's kind of like reverse ageism, okay? The more experience you have, actually, the better it is. The more wise you are, the more you can offer to your people. Okay, so hopefully that like removes that pressure off of you. Another big fear is, what will others think? Again, especially if you're coming from those more old school traditional career paths, you'll be like, what if my boss sees me and then he like thinks that I lost it? What if my aunt sees me and thinks that I have like, I've lost it. I went crazy. I left my job in a bank and now I'm doing this. It's like, yeah, well, here's the deal. Okay, you'll have to learn how to tolerate that, how to tolerate other people's opinions of you. But I'll tell you this. Those who matter will not mind and will be supportive of you because they want you happy. And those who mind, they don't matter. Really sit with that. Those who matter won't mind. And those who mind, they don't matter. Because those who mind is your nosy neighbor, is your Aunt Susan that you never talk, who's just a gossip queen. It's that colleague from work you never spoke to and now suddenly he or she is so interested in what you're doing and has a lot of opinions. These people don't matter. So don't let them live in your head rent-free. No one cares. Your true supporters will cheer on you, and honestly, you might just inspire others to follow their dreams too. So notice also another thing is like how do I say it? Because I'm being shown a visual. It's almost like when you start following your true aligned path. In this episode, we're talking about a healing path, but it could be anything that's aligned for you. It's almost like you light up in the universe. It's like you light up. You become the light, and you become the lighthouse. So some people, when you become brighter and you start shining your light, some people will see that And they will be grateful because your light will illuminate their path. Okay? And some people will be pissed off because your light will illuminate where they need to do the work and where they need to take responsibility for their own choices and decisions. And they will hate it because they might not be ready to go there. They might never be ready. Maybe that's not the purpose of this incarnation for them. And we need to let them be, and we need to accept that. Okay, because what happens, many of us, when we kind of like go through our awakening and realizations, we then almost like want everyone else to follow. We're like, no, that's not your job. That's not your job. Your job is to just focus on you and your light. Okay. So if there are any of those who will judge, and also notice how you will think people judge, but actually they're just a lot of the time so busy and concerned with their lives, they don't have time to judge you. Okay. You just think that you're assuming that they will judge. Right. But also I've seen with my clients and even myself, those who are like the biggest critics, sometimes they're jealous. Okay, let's talk about that. Sometimes they're jealous, but some of them actually end up becoming your clients and asking for your help once they see that you're serious, once they see your light, once they see how much you're achieving and how much you're helping others. And when they ask for that, you will help them. But if they're not asking, don't help them. If you don't feel safe talking about your new career with them, you don't talk about that. You set boundaries. Simple. Okay. So that's what we have. We have those 5. I would say these are probably some of the most common fears that at least I hear. So honestly, okay, this is not so short and sweet anymore, but like I'm trying to do this more high level. We can take each of this fear and turn it into an episode. And actually some of them I have episodes on, like what will other people think? I have a whole episode about that. So you can go back and listen to it. But what I want to end the episode with is kind of sharing a few practical steps that you can take. And honestly, they're so simple, you guys. They're so straightforward. But like I always say, for some reason, when we're entering this new uncharted territory of realignment, it's almost like our brain does not work in the same way. And we get really foggy and really overwhelmed and confused. And even the most obvious steps become ambiguous for us. So that's why I want to walk you through some practical steps. If you're listening to this episode, you had a suspicion you're a light worker, you're listening to this episode, everything that I say resonates, this is what I want you to do next, okay? What I would advise you to do next, okay? So, I want you to get clear on your specific interests. Again, I know it sounds really elusive and kind of, okay, what does that mean? I say have the whole program on just the blueprint where you can identify your blueprint, and blueprint is essentially who you are at your core in a career context, right? But you can also do it on your own. Get clear on your interests, like what type of healing work resonates the most with you. I want you to research different modalities and see what lights you up, okay? And again, don't go overboard with the research. When I say collecting data, I mean experiencing it and talking to people who do that. That's where you want to be. Okay. I don't want you to over research. I want you to kind of find different modalities, feel them out, choose the one that feels the most expansive, and go out there into the field and do field research, do primary research. Okay. And again, a reminder, your interest is the only thing you need to follow. That's your North Star. If you're really interested and fascinated and you talk to a spiritual life coach and everything he or she says, you're like, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, how fascinating. Oh my God, right? That's your North Star. That's where you light up the most, okay? When we talk about, also notice, right? When we talk about energy clearing or when you help someone shift a limiting belief, where do you light up more? Maybe you have a conversation with your sister, for instance. Again, not a good example, but right? And then you offer her a different perspective, a different reframe, and suddenly you see that her whole energy shifts and she's like, oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't think of it. How do you feel then? Is it fun? And compare it to other experiences that you had, perhaps where you cleared someone's energy because you are toying with energy, or maybe you read someone's tarot, right? And then you really helped them. You need to kind of take all of these experiences that you had and compare them, but that is about somatics and how it feels in the body. And this is what you need to follow. Simple as that. Don't overthink it, okay? Or maybe you're obsessed with supplementing and eating foods that are alive. Like, what gives you the most pleasure, the most excitement, that makes you feel the most fulfilled? Trust that intuition. Okay. Number two, so getting clear on that. Number two, I want you to really explore education and training. As you know, I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm not a big fan of going back to grad school. Going back to school is very expensive. Information is outdated. It's very much sort of old, toxic, masculine structures put in place. There's a lot of, it's inaccessible. Okay. I don't know. Just not a fan, you guys, just not a fan. But there are so many new schools that are kind of like challenging the old educational, especially higher education system, that offer amazing practical courses, programs, licenses, trainings that you can find. Okay, so I want you to really do your research once you find something, the modality that you're interested in. And just look for those reputable courses or certifications in your field, but please don't go overthinking. Again, choose what resonates and feel expansive, because learning will be a lifelong journey for you, and as it is for many other healers. So that's just the first step. A hack that I always tell my clients to do is, once you find shortlisted couple of schools you're interested in, programs you're interested in, ask them to talk to their alumni. Ask them to talk to graduates, and then pick their brain and be like, what did you like? What you don't like? Would you recommend it? Yes, it's great if they have testimonials, but testimonials sometimes can be tampered with. So I would rather have you speak to a real human who's completed the course and also who's successful in that career. Okay. Then number 3, I want you to start small. Start before you're ready should be your mantra. I'm doing before I'm ready. You can offer free sessions to friends of friends. Again, I would avoid doing it with friends. I would avoid doing it with family. That's just not your audience. You'll never be appreciative, right? But I want you to start offering to acquaintances. Just spread the word that you're doing it. You can offer it free of charge, but I want you to gain experience, start building confidence, and start testing it. Do I really like this modality? Do I really like this niche? If you're choosing a niche, okay? Another one, which I really would advise you to do, connect with other healers, connect with other like-minded people, okay? There are online communities. If you feel like you're living in a small town, if you feel like you're living in a state that perhaps is not receptive of the alternative healing, right? Or maybe you live in a very religious area, or you come from a religious background that you don't resonate with, but you feel like everyone around you does and would be judgmental. There are so many online communities. Yes, they're not the same, but they're still much better than nothing, right? And you will be surprised. I would search meetup groups and local mini groups to network and learn from others in the field, and just have that support and validation that you're not crazy, okay? Because I know some of you will feel crazy. Some of you are feeling soul-crushing misalignment right now, and that experience is extremely lonely. And I'm sending you a big hug and so much love, because I know how hard it is. Your community sometimes will be your lifeline. So make sure that you invest in that. Okay. Also, you will want to continue to work on your own healing. Remember that we teach best what we most need to learn. Okay. And you need to continue, and you will continue on your own personal growth journey, because you can help your client only as much as you have helped yourself. You can walk them only as far as you have walked yourself. So you will one of my coaches would always say, like, living on the edge of breakthrough. There's always something that you're uncovering, but I don't want this to become like obsessive, because some people they become type A in healing, where they're like obsessively, compulsively looking for ways how to heal, how to uncover something, how to release trauma. But honestly, that is also a very sneaky avoidance strategy, especially those of you who like to intellectualize healing material. All the fancy terms, but are you actually feeling your feelings? Are you actually implementing what you know? Okay, I'm calling you out, some of you. So you'll want to make sure that you're doing that. Also, you'll need to learn how to build an online presence. Okay, let me rephrase it. You don't need to. But like it would really, really help you quantum leap in your career, in your business, if you have an online presence. Because in today's digital world, we can like it or hate it. Having a social media presence can help you reach more people who need your gifts. It's a very advanced matchmaking system. And you can totally be spiritual and woo-woo about it. I am definitely like that. When I am releasing my content, I have one ad that I've run for years at this point that is still working. I literally told and I say that to my consult calls sometimes when some of you show up on the consultation calls. I say, and they say, well, Vilma, like it was just the most bizarre circumstances how I found your ad or your post was like suggested to me. And I always ask the universe to only show my content and only show my ad to those who really need it right now, to those who are in need, to those who resonate with my energy and my approach, right? And you can totally be spiritual about Instagram too. It doesn't have to be that cold, hard, heavy space. As long as you have strong, healthy boundaries around it, as long as you learn how to not doom scroll and you use it as a marketing funnel and you use it as a way to connect with your people. Okay, you can totally coach yourself to neutrality. You can even learn to love it. It's a powerful tool, but make sure that you use it and not the opposite where it uses you. Because, well, spiritually speaking, Instagram is a very powerful aggregator. And so it feeds off of our energy and the attention that we give it. That's why it's built to become addictive. That's why it's built to give us dopamine hit. That's why it's built to give us a variety. And you scroll and you never know what you're going to find. There's a surprise element, which is addictive. Every time we get stuck and the time passes by, we feed it energy. Anyway, I'm going off tangent. Make me stop. Right. Also, a reminder, you guys, in terms of like those steps that you take, something that you need to constantly remind yourself is that you trust the process, because every obstacle is not a sign that you should quit. Obstacles and challenges are your friends. I know. They're teachers and they're part of your initiation, preparing you towards the work with others. And trust that each step, no matter what it looks like, no matter whether it feels good or feels bad, is part of the journey and it's leading you where you need to go. So as opposed to resisting it and being pissed off about it, embrace it and lean into it, because that's how you can go through this obstacle course faster. And you need to. You're being tested and you're being taught. Okay. Also, please remember to stay open to guidance. Pay attention to the signs, pay attention to synchronicities, pay attention to intuitive nudges as you move forward, because you'll have so many of them, especially as you start taking the first steps and you make the decision to pursue this new path. Oh my God, you'll be inundated with all of these signs, and your job is to not, like, I had a client, Nicole, I love you. If you're listening to this, Nicole was on the podcast. She's a water healer, okay? I remember when we started coaching. Hopefully she won't be upset with me calling her out. That woman, that beautiful soul, like I always would say, your universe's favorite. Like the signs that she would get, like honestly, like tens of signs a day. It would be a bird. It would be like words. It would be license plates. So many. And she even talked about that on the podcast. You know, when we started coaching, she would say, Vilma, but this is crazy. Vilma, this is like crazy. This is mental. This is crazy. Like, I can't believe it. This is so silly. And I'd be like, what? Why are you saying that? This is not crazy. This is not silly. This is a miracle. It's magical. That's how much the universe wants you to embrace your aligned path. That is sending you so many signs so that your beautiful Virgo self, shout out to my Virgos, would actually acknowledge and embrace and trust that this is your path. This is not crazy. Don't devalue it. Don't disrespect it. Love it. Thank for it. The more you thank for it, the more you'll see it, the more you'll get it. Gratefulness is also a big part of it. Okay. And finally, the final tip that I have for you, again, if there is anything you take from this episode, take inspired action. Less planning, more doing. Trust me on that one. Sometimes you just need to take the leap and trust that the net will appear. And it always will. You take the first step, and from that first step, you'll start seeing where the next step should be. But you won't always be able to see all of the steps ahead of time. It's just not how it works. Okay. And this is one of those situations, especially when you're embracing that healing career. You literally first you take the step and you evaluate later. Because a lot of you are trying to like pre-plan, pre-prepare, control. You can't, you won't. Let it go. You can't control this. Because think of it like that. Okay, this is what I'm getting. It's like many of you want those like defined steps. And yes, we can define some steps, right? Choose a modality, create online presence, connect with like-minded people. But other than that, like how the journey will unfold, how you will learn, how you will start receiving the first clients, all of that cannot be predefined because we don't know. And your energetic support system, your spirit guides, your higher self, they don't know yet what decisions you'll make because you have free will. So maybe say you'll choose a different course than what they expected you to choose. And then from that, the whole universe and everything around you needs to rearrange to continue directing you towards your purpose. So there's no way, even for them, like there are millions of possibilities. And with each mini decision that you make, you're like shifting the direction a little bit, right? Like 1%, 2%, you're shifting that direction. So there's no way for you to have a step-by-step plan. We just have like rough outline, and that's more than enough. And you need to trust it and just start acting. That's it. Act, 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 act. But I'm not talking about blind, fear-based action. I'm talking about aligned, inspired action. And there's a big difference in that. Okay. So, at the end of the day, what you'll soon learn, all of you, as you're embracing your life as a light worker, is that embracing a healing career, or any aligned career for that matter, is not just about what you will be doing. It's sometimes a little bit less about what you'll be doing, but it's about who you will become in the process, the healing that you experience in the process. Because it's a journey of self-growth, of transformation that will forever be calling you in. That's like that forever evolving change. Okay. If you resonate and you still feel confused, if you need help, please feel free to reach out to me. That's literally what I do, you guys, all day, every day, like supporting people like yourself. I have programs, I have groups, I have self-paced programs now that I'm creating that could support you, but also you can totally do it on your own. Just whatever you decide, do it. Okay. Don't wait. We really need your light. And also, by the way, oh my goodness, I almost forgot. A reminder that we have a new feature in the house. You can actually send me a text. So if you're listening to this podcast and you have a question or you want to give some feedback, I'm going to share a review or just say hi. It's super, super easy. If you go to the show notes of the episode, there's a link at the top that says send a text. And once you click on it, you'll be directed to your messages, and you can send a text free of charge. And I would love to hear from you, because you guys, I record this podcast for you, and I would love to interact with you and hear what kind of content you're enjoying the most. Maybe there are certain challenges that you face that you want me to expand on. I love to do that. So listen, like I said, to summarize, if you're listening to this episode and this resonates and it awakens and stirs, that's the word, stirs something within you, please, 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 please stop waiting around. Stop doubting yourself. Stop planning and hoping for the best time. Drop all of that and do it. Yes, it's scary, but also this will be the most exhilarating, healing decision you've ever made, because the world needs your light and the world needs your gifts yesterday. Okay, you've got this. Have a good week. Thank you for taking the time to explore a holistic approach to career change. If you've been struggling to identify a new aligned career path, or you don't know how to transition into your new professional chapter, and you feel like you need some guidance on transition strategies, make sure you go to the show notes and check out the support available for you. There are 2 ways in which you can work with me. One-on-one, where I will be personally guiding you to a new purpose-led career or business, or you can join the Holistic Career Change group program, where together with your soul sisters, you will not only have a proven step-by-step process to transition, but also a like-minded community going through career change alongside you. All the links and information below. Have a wonderful week.